Hello, I'm Dr. Judy, and today I'm at the Ohio State Fair in the Natural Resources Arena, and I have a very good guide for you. We're going to visit a mid-1800s log cabin, and I think we'll thoroughly enjoy it. Victor Rick, would you lead us a little tour through that cabin?
Okay, this is a cabin that was down in Zanesville, Ohio. It was moved to the site in 1979 and rebuilt here. And this is a typical cabin of that era. What you see behind me is a cabin that's out of logs and mortar, and basically the type of mortar that was used back then was the famous Ohio red clay dirt. Although it looks white on the outside, bleached out, but it was red clay. And what's unique about this cabin is probably one of your better built cabins of that era. Reason why is it has notched wood that laid the flat boards together. Prior to that, the settlers that came into this area used round logs. But here, to get a closer and tighter fit to withstand storms, weathering, and everything else, and time, over a period of time, they notched the wood, laid them in tighter, gave a real tight fit together, and then they put the mortar in between them. This was really great. Also, you look at this cabin, you'll see very minimum use of nails. What they use pegs. They use wooden pegs to keep everything real tight. That was basically the nails used back then. So if they didn't bring it with them, they had to build it or design it to fit the needs that they had of the use of that area for their families. This cabin is really unique, and it's very special because it has a summer kitchen on the back side of the cabin, which was designed to keep the heat from cooking from the main side of the cabin, so the front part cabin's cool. All the stonework from the masonry that is used for the fireplace is from the area that, which makes sense, where they built the home at. You know, they chipped out, cut out the stones, and mortared them together for their fireplace. And the fireplace was very popular and was very family orientation part of the home, because where people settle for heat, cooking, their meals, and everything else. We were talking earlier, we looked at the windows, and most people think, oh, it's very common to have windows on a cabin, but no, it's not very common. A lot of the windows they brought with them, they wrapped around in blankets and furs, and it was a luxury if you had windows to bring with you out to the wilderness and to the area to put your cabin together in and have something to look out of during the day and let sunlight in. If you look at the cabins, and a lot of cabins in the era prior to this mid-1800s, they were dark, covered with just wood and mortar. And if you had a fireplace that was large, most cabins have very small fireplaces, because what was important is seasons when you built the cabin. When they came into the area, when they settled, they had two things they had to worry about: food and shelter.
This I've already convinced is an extremely authentic cabin, isn't it?
You're right. It is. If you look at the Germans and the Scandinavians brought this style of notch wood or linking them together for the cabins. If you look at this cabin, you can look throughout it. You see a lot of notch wood that is used to put the cabin together. When you walk through these areas and look at various cabins throughout Ohio, you can see the backgrounds of the people and the regions of the world they came from, because they brought their skills with them, their training with them, and the furniture they built to the homes they built really reflects the region of the world they came from. If there was Irish, Scottish, German, French, they brought all that with them because that's what they known.
They pretty well brought their own weapons, as you tell me, and the furniture style pretty well marked your background.
Yes, very much so. If you look at the furniture style, the first style you're going to see is very primitive, where they took in logs and they just kind of really planed them down to allow a sitting area. Now, if you want to see them to upscale, they'll put a back to them. But many tried to bring furniture with them on the wagon. As we talked about, they bring in the windows, they bring the furniture, they brought, of course, the weapons to gather food. But along with that, they brought anything they can load up on the wagon across the wilderness, the trails with them to the new settlement.
They brought their own weapons too.
Weapons was very important. Weapons and tools was a must. You know, they had to have that. You know, men had to have their iron tools, cast iron tools, along with their flint weapons, and the women had to really bring a lot of their stitching and things for their new homes, and they brought their own special ingredients that from their homelands with them. You know, for the spices, food, and salt. Salt was a premium, was very important to preserve the food so they can keep the food throughout the winter for the last.
I would say this is one of the nicest replicas we're probably going to see for a great long time. Was it actually just given to you, or where did actually this one come from?
This one came from an area around Zanesville, Ohio, where it was donated to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And we actually went in and disassembled the cabin and brought it up here and put it back together. So, you know, we were really blessed that Ohio's wanted to share a part of history with all of us.
I have to hope that all of you who are viewing will have an appreciation for buildings such as this, and especially come to the fair and see this one. I must say, I really appreciate you taking your time for this.
It is truly my pleasure. So when you come out and you walk through a cabin, stop and take a moment, and if you stand still and listen, you'll hear the family rustling about the fireplaces as the meals are being prepared, and families are laughing and sharing the events of the day. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. This is Dr. Judy, and I'm at the Ohio State Fair. I hope you've enjoyed my guest, and I think all of you know by now that I always want you to remember, pets are family too.
Down the Road is brought to you in part by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen AF, advancing animal nutrition for healthy animals, and Woodruff Enterprise of Springfield, Ohio.